Hi, I'm Gareth from Tech Radar and I'm Phones and Tablets Editor. This is John.
Hi there.
He's the Phones and Tablets writer. He can't give his own title, so I'm doing it for him. We're here to talk about iOS 8. It's the next generation of Apple's operating system. And, you know, I think iOS 7, did you like it?
I did. I think iOS 6 was getting really old and outdated. Apple hadn't really changed anything since the original iPhone, so it was really good to see a fresh new look and a couple of extra features as well. Control Center is one feature I really like, flicking up from the bottom to do Wi-Fi and torch and volume control. It's really easy.
All right, okay. It was also really colourful.
It was?
And a lot of people didn't like that. I didn't care. A lot of people didn't like it. I agree with you. I think the whole flatter, new, fresh look was really what Apple needed. And I was getting really bored of looking at the same thing on every single iPhone. I think Android is really powerful. Yeah. I think people get that, and you know the unified experience of Apple is fine, but there's definitely more to come. Right, so if iOS 7 was good, what can we do to make iOS 8 great? I think we can probably get an email to Johnny Ive. It won't be hard. It's probably johnny.ive, j.ive, I don't know. And then we can just go through it and work out some really good ideas to make iOS 8 great.
One of the biggest bugbears is the apps that you get pre-installed, stocks, stuff like that.
No one hate stocks.
Stocks. We don't want to even see that. We don't even want to put it in a folder. We just want to get rid of it, Just let us either delete it or hide it.
Hiding and getting rid of apps that you don't really want would be a great thing. I don't think Apple's ever going to let you do it, but it seems obvious that, you've got Samsung, LG, loads of different phone manufacturers let you just get rid of the apps you don't want and get them back out again when you need, and that's something that really should happen.
You say Apple might not do it, but we've said that a lot about Apple in the past, and they've surprised everyone. They've done a cheaper iPhone. They've done an iPhone altogether. There was one point where people saying that they'd never do a phone, so you can never say never. Apple's been in the news a lot recently because of the whole kids spending loads of money on iPads and iPhones, and that really annoys parents. And maybe they're a bit silly, maybe they're not, but there's something that can easily be done.
No, they are silly. You shouldn't be leaving your PIN with a kid ever so it can spend money.
No, true.
And it does need to be fixed. And when you look at the amount of phones and tablets now that have kid mode, I mean, Samsung's launching kid-only tablets, for God's sake. It's, the fact that a 2-year-old can pick up an iPad and know how to work it means it should have a way to lock it down so it's safe and you can structure the way it wants to do things. We're getting apps for kids on the iTunes store, so we really should have that on the tablet as well. So we're talking about apps, and I think the App Store definitely needs an overhaul, and this is controversial, I think you should take a cue from Windows Phone.
Whoa, hold up.
Yep, and by that I mean you should have trials. You should be allowed to do things quickly and have a look at see what you want the app to do, and say, yeah, that's what I want to buy. Because there's so much more engagement when you've bought an app and you actually want to spend money with it when you trust it, rather than just, oh, this might work, it might not, I don't want to spend 70p.
Definitely, and no one wants to try and faff around about trying to get refunded if the app doesn't work properly or if it's not what they wanted. It's a big hassle. It does need a bit of an overhaul in general as well, just to make it a bit more streamlined, a bit more user-friendly.
And I think apps as well, they don't need to be siloed. Do you know what I mean? Like when you get a phone and then you use an app for a while and you get loads of really important data and then you just lose it because you reinstall it. It's like, you look at things like Real Racing 3 where you have to log into, say, Facebook and you can race with your friends, and it also saves your game, so you can play it on any platform. So most people have got like an iPhone and an iPad, so iOS 8 should have the ability to communicate between apps, saving them interoperability, and in an easier way to do it, I think.
I mean, part of that is on Apple, but part of that is obviously on the devs as well.
Yeah, but Apple should make an easier mechanism. Yes. You've got iCloud, why can't we do it?
Yeah. You know what I really hate about iOS?
What?
I go to send an email, I can't attach a document.
That is...
It's a simple thing, why can't I do it? Johnny Ive, tell me, please, write to me. I don't know.
But it is crazy, the fact that you can't just clip things that you want to clip. I mean, it's the fact Apple wants to secretly lock you out from all the files that may be contained within your phone. We get so much. Your iPhone or your iPad is such an important tool for PDFs and everything when you get emails going through. And it's like, I should be able to manipulate these as I want to.
Something else I really want to see is app settings actually in the app. Why, if I want to change the settings in my app, would I then leave the app to go to the main settings menu to then find the app settings in there? It's stupid.
And it's not even in the right place. They're all like different bits and pieces up and down. Like you can't find a way to just say, I want to move certain music settings. And it's just really annoying. I don't understand why we've got this far without it happening. I still can't work it out. I mean, Windows Phone does the same thing. An app should be able to control its own settings. Even just like the stock stuff, like music and video, you should be able to tweak the certain bits that you want without having to jump out. Right, now here's the thing that I think that no one ever will care about, but should probably be changed, right? FaceTime, I don't care about it. I very rarely use it, but if you can have one person, you should be able to have multiple people. Google's putting a real big effort on this with Hangouts. I think from a business perspective, that's something that Apple really needs to get its head around and start putting into iPads even Macs and everything like that, and just giving you the chance to have loads of different people on one call. So no more crowding around a phone, which would never happen.
It seems like a no-brainer, really. And as you say, business users, the iPhone's becoming the go-to business device now that it's BlackBerry sort of on the rocks. So for them, it would make great sense, and that's sort of an easy win for Apple there. For the wider use, I know some people, parents and with children, really love it. You know, when they're away and they can see and chat to their kid, it's a very simple interface, so that works really nicely. But then again, it's still a sort of one-on-one experience. Rarely have I seen the necessity for lots of people.
And when you think about it like in a business case, you've got like Windows Phone is doing quite well in the business area because you've got all these apps and it's very much dedicated for that. And you know, with Skype integration getting better and better and better, it's not long before we're going to see group video calls in that. And so, you know, if you want to be the go-to device, Apple needs to get ahead of the curve here. And yeah, well, I mean, people might still not think FaceTime is important. It's an important thing to have. Tell you what, one thing that I've started seeing a lot of in Android recently is that, you know, when you get like a pop-up notification on a message and you can just reply there without having to jump out of the app, like a little, you know, the screens are getting so big now, you've got all this real estate. Why doesn't Apple do the same thing? Why do you have to have these rubbish notifications at the top that aren't in the right order, they're really hard to get rid of, and you can't even talk directly to them? And it's just, it feels like there should be something way better.
Definitely. I mean, even BlackBerry 10 gives you that option now with BBMs. You can reply without having to open the app.
You really hate
BlackBerry can do it, Apple can do it. I don't hate BlackBerry, but they're behind the curve significantly, and Apple are way ahead. And if BlackBerry have managed to implement that already, why haven't Apple?
Yeah.
So iOS 7 brought some new features to Do Not Disturb, and while the extra functionality is useful, it's like, is it really enough? Do we need more from it in iOS 8?
Yeah, I think that, you know, this whole idea of blocking mode, being able to sort of set your phone to not do things when you don't want it to, basically when you're asleep, is really important. You know, Samsung does it, HTC does it. It's kind of saying that, look, this phone is important to me and I want to leave it on, but I don't want to have it so I get like an eBay notification in the middle of the night. You know, it's clever, and Apple has kind of got its head around that, you know. Do Not Disturb works. It's just that you should be able to say, right, Apple, it's the weekend. It's a different schedule for me. I'm not getting up at 6 in the morning. I'm getting up at like 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I don't know.
The Moto G comes with Motorola Assist, and that scans your calendar for all your meetings and will recognise when you're in a meeting and will set it to silent. So, you know, Apple could easily do that.
Text manipulation, it's a hot topic, or is it not really? It's not, because it doesn't really matter. But Apple has had a system for the very last, 3 or 4 years that is getting old. And I think that while, you know, it's text manipulation, it's copy and pasting words, there is definitely a level up that we could take. And I think that if you look at things like Microsoft Word, which is now really intuitive, Apple could really learn from stuff like that and really take the next leap forward.
Exactly. I mean, copy and paste does work fine on iOS, but iOS 8 could step things up. If you were trying to highlight a whole address, for example, it could see it's starting to highlight address, so highlight it all automatically for you. Just a bit more clever, and phone numbers, things like that. So it's got the bare bones, but there is definitely room for improvement. You know what I would really like to see on iOS 8?
Recipes.
Well, recipes, yes, I do like food, but I don't really like cooking. What I'd really like to see would be 2 apps on screen at the same time. How cool would that be?
No, that's like Samsung's dream, and Apple does not need to copy Samsung in any way, shape or form. I think you've got a very limited screen amount on the iPhone anyway, it's 4 inches. Then you go to the iPad, maybe it's a little bit bigger, but no, I don't ever want to see 2 apps at once. All I need is like a calculator or a calendar floating up whenever I need it with a little bit of information and pop down again. Sony does it really well. Stick with that at best. Apple does really well with the 5-finger gesture where you can flip left and right between apps. The problem there is that it doesn't ever hold them properly. So like you say you're looking at something in a browser, you do need to maybe jump to a spreadsheet. You go back again, the whole thing reloads. It's like, just stay where you were. Do it, you know, keep things held that way. That's fine. You never need 2 things at once. It overcomplicates things, it makes things very difficult, and it's completely against what Apple is trying to do. iOS 8 needs to be simple and needs to stay with that. So that's our take on iOS 8, the things we need to see. Now you tell us what you need to see in the comments below, and please stick around with Tech Radar, subscribe to find out all the best of Tech Radar's views, news and video fun.